What is going on, guys? This is your boy Astrum Sensei, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a basic root motion system in Unreal Engine 5. So in this tutorial we are going to be creating the simplest Unreal Engine root motion system, which will have 8 directional movement and will have you switch between walking and running. So I'm going to call this project name Basic Root Motion System, or without system, just Basic Root Motion. And I'm gonna press create. So here we are in our third person project, and I'm not gonna be starting from scratch because it will take more time. Basically, we are gonna be using the third person character as a base. So I'm gonna dog the content browser in the layout, and then I'm gonna go to the third person BP folder, to the blueprints folder, and we are gonna take a look at our character blueprint. So this is the character blueprint, and we have our event graph over here. Now what root motion is it's basically a system that moves the player based on what the animation is doing. So if the animation is walking, then the character will move based on the feet of the animation. So we do not want this one, because what this does is it adds movement input to whatever input you are pressing. And what that does is it moves the character even if the animation is not moving. So we do not want that at all. I'm just gonna press Alt and disconnect them and move the move forward and move right separately. We want to influence the movement based on the animation. So to do that, we are going to make edits in the animation blueprint. I'm going to go to the mannequin folder, and we are going to go to the animations folder and import my own root motion animations. Now I downloaded these from Mixamo and converted them using a Mixamo converter. But what you can do is you can just grab any animations from the marketplace and it will work perfectly. I'm going to choose 4, which are walk back, walk forward, walk left, and walk right. And I'm going to choose run left, run right, run forward diagonal, run backward diagonal, and run backward. I'm going to use the run forward and backward diagonal for the walking as well, but I'm going to slow them down. I do not have diagonal walking animations, so sadly I cannot add them, but I can try to compensate for that with the run diagonal animations, no problem. But anyway, we're just going to place them in our folder, and I'm going to choose the Unreal Skeleton. Now, because I used the Mixamo converter, I'm going to need to change a few settings. You do not have to do that if you didn't use it, but I'm just going to change them based on the Mixamo converter. So here we have it. Now I'm going to do this, and yeah, I think we should be good to go. So I'm just going to click on import all, and that should import all of our animations. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and go to asset actions and bulk edit via property matrix. And what that does is it edits all of them at the same time. What I want to do is I just want to enable root motion. So I'm just going to go over here and press on enable root motion, and the root motion pose will be the reference pose. Just close this, and we are going to go to the anim BP. Now we are in the default animation blueprint. You can actually start an animation blueprint from scratch, but to save time, I'm actually going to do it using the default one, which is included in the engine. So the root motion, we are going to enable it, root motion from everything. This tab, the details panel, will only be there once you open the animation blueprint. So if the animation blueprint was already open and you have something in the details panel, it will be kind of hard to make it show up unless you close the animation blueprint and reopen it. So anyway, here is our character. Event blueprint update animation, drag get pawn owner, then we check if it is valid, then we set the is in air. This is for the jumping, and this is the setting speed. So this one sets the animation based on the speed. It sets the speed variable, which sets the animation blend space to choose from walking and running. So we're going to delete this entire part because we do not need it. What we need is we are also going to delete the speed variable because we do not need it as well. Right now, if you actually try to play, it will no longer be working because you cannot move around in that animation and there is no speed, and we activated root motion. But don't you worry about that, we are going to be fixing that right now. So over here in the anim graph, what we have is a state machine, and inside of the state machine we have a few states for animations. Now this is the main one we are going to be working on. The jumping, we are not going to be changing anything because it doesn't require root motion, but for this one you can just open it, idle and run. This is the blend space that blends between the idle and running animation. What we want to do is we want to delete this because it will no longer be useful for us. We're going to create our own blend space, and it will be a root motion blend space. So we're going to go to animation and choose blend space. Choose the Unreal skeleton or any skeleton that you are using, and I'm just going to call it movement blend space, and I'm going to open it. Now this movement blend space, we have all of the assets over here that we have, and this is where we can set the speed for sides and forward. So for this one, we are not going to be calling it speed because this is no longer the character walk speed. This is actually the amount of input that the player is putting. So we're going to call it side input. And the other one is going to be called forward input. And we have a minimum value and a maximum value. So this is the minimum input and this is the maximum input. The minimum speed is going to be -2 and the maximum speed is going to be 2. So basically 1 is for walking and 2 is for running. And we are going to do the same thing for the forward. So you can move forward either backwards, or you can either run backwards or run forward. And now we are going to go and grab in our idle animation. Oh, I forgot to add in an idle animation, so I'm just going to drag in one. Over here we have in place. Yeah, I placed it in the in place folder because idle doesn't need root motion. But yeah, I'm just going to import it and it should be perfect now. We can just go in here and add in the idle animation. The idle will be at side input and forward input 0. The run forward will be at side input 0 and forward input 2. The walking animation will be at forward input 1. So here it is. We walk forward, we run forward, or we idle. And I forgot to change the interpolation time, which changes how fast it swaps between animations. We want to make it a little bit slower, so I'm going to make it 0.4, and now it's no longer snapping and it's more of a smooth transition. Now we are going to place in the walk backwards at -1 and the run backward at -1 as well. And now you can see that you can move forward and backward. And of course you cannot do it, it's just the character that is moving. I'm also going to place run left and run right. So let's actually not do the rest of them right now. Go back to the NMBP, and since we deleted the previous blend space, we are just going to grab in the movement blend space and we are just going to connect it to the output pose, and that should make it work. However, we do need side input and forward input, so we're going to need to add that right now. But where do we get these from? Well, we get them from the character itself. So we're going to go back to the character blueprint and we need to bring them from the axis value. So the move forward is, we're going to promote this to a variable. I'm going to call it input y, which is forward. And we're going to set the other one, which is going to be called input x, which is side. And of course, I forgot a bracket, but let's do it like this. Yeah, here we go. Now we are going to compile and we are going to go back to our blend space or into our animation blueprint. And we need to get those two variables from over there to over here. So we're going to do that using the event graph. What you can do is you can try get pawn owner, then you cast to the character and then you get the variables. However, I do not think it's a good idea to use it in the update animation. You can just get a reference to the character at the begin play and then you get the variables from it, because I think that will make things more organized. So I'm just going to type in event begin play or event blueprint begin play, and we are going to cast to third person character. The object will be try get pawn owner, so I'm just going to duplicate it from here to over here and connect it to the object. And we are going to just promote this to a variable which will be called as third person character. Now, if we go over here, after we set is in air, we are just going to get as third person character, and we need to get these two variables which are influenced by the movement or how much you are moving. So I'm going to go back over here and we are going to get y input and do the other one, which is get x input. And what you want to do is now just right click on it and promote it to a variable, which will set it as this variable, which so that we can connect it to the blend space. This is a very simple root motion system and it's the simplest I can come up with. But despite the fact that it's simple, it's actually very compatible and it works perfectly with everything. So I really recommend trying it out. Anyway, now that we have set the input for y and x, we are going to compile and go back to the third person. We're going to go back to the anim graph and we are going to change the idle run over here. We're just going to connect the side input to the input x and we are going to connect this one as well. And now we are going to compile. And I think we should give it a try and see if it works. You can see that it actually works for the forward and backward walking. The right and left, it doesn't work perfectly. I think I forgot to add animations for it, so there's that. But if we go back over here, there is an issue, and that is because we are casting from this one. I don't know why. Usually it works, but in Unreal Engine it isn't working. It's causing an error. I mean, it does work, but it causes an error. So I'm just not gonna use the reference thing, and I'm just gonna grab it and delete this one as well. Just connect it like this, and the error should no longer be there. I don't know why this error is happening despite the fact that the game actually works perfectly. So yeah, I just found out that this is a more appropriate solution despite the fact that that one is more organized. Anyway, we are going to go back to our blend space and we are going to look at what we added. We have the run right. Actually, we need to revert these sides. There is something wrong with this, or maybe it's me who's doing it wrong. Yeah, I think it's me, because you want to look at things from this perspective, I guess. Yeah, definitely. So run left over here, run right over here. We are going to add in the walking as well. Walk left over here. Actually, no, walk left is over here. Walk right is over here. And let's add the diagonal very quickly as well. So run backward diagonal. It blends perfectly with the running. And we add the other one over here. Run forward diagonal, which blends with this one. And the other one is over here. And sadly, we do not have walking diagonal animations, but we can just place the ones we do have and slow them down if we want. So I'm not going to give it a try, but you can just place it where the walking is. Actually, let's give it a try. There's no loss in that. I'm just going to go over here and change the rate scale to 0.5 so that it's half the speed, and do the other one as well. So rate scale 0.5. I don't think there's a point in it because it does change the rate scale anyway when you are walking, but there is no animation. But there's no loss in trying it, so I'm just gonna give it a try. So right now, if we play, you can see that it actually works perfectly, but we still cannot run, and the character no longer rotates, so we're gonna have to figure that out. So first of all, we are gonna look at the running thing. I'm gonna go to the project settings and I'm gonna add an input for running. So action mappings, press plus, type in run, and change this one to left shift. And close it. Now if we go back to the character, in the event graph, I'm just gonna type in run. I'm not gonna make this really organized because I do not need it. As a project, I do have my own project, which is very organized, But for now, I'm just gonna make it like this, which is very random. What we wanna do is we wanna create a new variable, which is called running. And we are just gonna set running to be true. And when we release, set running is gonna be false. So when we are no longer holding the left shift, running is gonna be false. And then we are gonna create a branch over here. We're gonna get running and create a branch. We're gonna check if we are running when we move the forward input stick. And if it's false, we're gonna set it normally. But if it's true, what we wanna do is we wanna multiply it so that it's double the speed, so that it's 2, no longer 1. So I'm just gonna press on multiply and over here change the number to 2. And we should copy this for the other one. But let's just make it a little bit more organized. I can't handle this anymore. Yeah, that's a little better. So we need to copy this entire thing for the other one. So I'm just gonna copy and paste. And I'm gonna delete the previous set, connect it to this one. The input axis is gonna be this. And we are gonna need to replace these variables with the input x. So just drag it and change node to write input x. The other one over here, and click compile. And I think that should be fine right now. Let us give it a try. If we press play, we start walking. If we press shift, we start running. And we can run in all of the directions. And the way you can speed up the character when you are running, I mean, the only way with root motion to do that with root motion is to change the animation play scale to make it faster, or you can create faster animations if you are an animator and you are creating your own root motion animations. This actually looks better with the female mannequin, so I'm just gonna go there to the details panel and replace the mannequin very quickly and press play, and you can see that the female mannequin has better, I mean, she looks better with these animations because these animations are more suited to someone who is more agile. So this female mannequin, she's just the perfect fit. Anyway, now we are moving in all of the 8 directions. However, we cannot rotate. Why is that? And you know, the rotation is not going to work at all, even if you use orient rotation to movement. So we are going to find a way to fix that. So to fix the rotation, we are going to go back to the third person character. And what we need to do is we need to set the actor rotation based on the velocity and the vector length. So we are going to do that using the event tick. So just grab an empty spot and type in event tick. And I know I'm not being as organized as usual. Since this is a one-time tutorial, I decided that I'm going to be not organized because, you know, everything you can just cut it and paste it whatever you want. You can create your own graphs. It doesn't matter. As long as the code works, everything will be fine. So yeah, we are just gonna go to the event tick and we are gonna set actor rotation. And then we are gonna decide what we want to set it as. So the new actor rotation, we are just gonna get actor rotation. And we are gonna get the control rotation. And we are also going to get the velocity. And we're gonna get the vector length of the velocity. After that, we're gonna place it over here and we're gonna check if it's smaller than or if it's greater than. So if the vector length is greater than 10, then we are gonna branch and we are gonna set, and if it's true, we're gonna set the actor rotation. And of course, you want to connect the event tick to the actual branch like this. And the new rotation, we're gonna split that. So split struct pin, and we are gonna set the actor rotation. And of course, you want to connect the event tick to the actual branch like this. And the new rotation, we're gonna split that. So split struct pin, and we are gonna set the actor rotation. And of course, you want to connect the event tick to the actual branch like this. And the new rotation, we're gonna split that. So split struct pin, We're gonna get the actor rotation, and we are gonna rinterp to. The current is the actor rotation and the target is the control rotation. We're gonna connect the new value. Oh, sorry, I forgot to split this. So we're gonna split the return value and connect the Z to the Z. And the delta time is gonna be the event tick. We're gonna move it like this. And I think it should work now. So if I compile and give it a try, you can see that the character actually turns now. However, they do snap, so the way to fix that is to actually change the interp speed. You can change it to whatever value you want. I'm gonna try 10, and if I play, you can see that we can turn now, which is great. I think 10 is way too slow, so we're gonna go with half of that. I'm gonna go with 5. And if I press play, you can see that the rotation works perfectly now. And of course, it's better to not use the content browser when we are previewing it. So as you can see, we have the root motion system and it's working in all 8 directions with running enabled. And if you want to do sprinting, you can just multiply the number with 3 after running. So the possibilities are endless. So if this tutorial was useful for you, please make sure to subscribe and like the video for more awesome tutorials. And if you'd like to download the project files, they will be available on my Patreon, so go check that out. I will be organizing them for the patrons, so don't you worry about my mess, which I did in this video. So yeah, that's all for today. I will see you next time. Take care, have a great day, and bye.